Okay, so welcome back to the second part of this webinar. And in the first part, I just introduced you to personal discovery and the fact that it is a very scientific way of discovering your personal DNA. So I thought I'll just give you a quick glimpse of how it happens. It's a very energizing process. That's the first thing I must tell you. And there are no assumed data. So let's say you and me, we are engaging in a personal discovery process. I'll take you back into your past. And from there, we will walk together looking at some of your glorious moments of making the impossible happen. We all have such moments. It's initially difficult to find those moments, but very soon we find it. I become like a child, and the other becomes a storyteller. And in this process, the person reveals a lot about the elements of the DNA. What are the elements of the DNA? Most importantly, what is the calling, the purpose of life? Yeah, it needs some expertise, it needs some wisdom on part of the listener to be able to cull out the purpose from all the narration. Then it also reveals what are the drivers in difficult situations, what enabled the person to take a certain path and not choose other paths. These are also called personal values. The third thing that comes out is the set of talents, core talents, abilities that were not learned, that the person inherited either at a very, very early stage in his or her life, or as some people say, was born with. Now, with these three elements and a little study of the north node of the person, the DNA is designed and carved out. And based on that, the person then makes a roadmap. Well, if this is my DNA, again enabled by me, facilitated by me, the person gets to see now so many different alternatives. And those alternatives have nothing to do, I repeat, have no commonality with what he or she is doing today. There is this lady who had lost a job in a situation like now, along with 250 others. They were sacked. And it was a very reputed company. And she came to me and she said, help me find a job. And I said, what's the point of trying and get you a job if you land up in a similar situation a few years down the line? Because that's the job scene all about, right? They need you as long as they need you. But if you were to become the master of your own destiny, and if you write your own appointment letter, you choose to get sacked when you choose to get sacked. If you don't want to get sacked, it becomes a lifelong adventure. It's no more a profession. So this lady went through the discovery process. And then I left her alone for some time. I was accompanying her for 3-4 months, and I knew that she was ready. She was then being guided by her DNA. She didn't need an external guide. She had an inner guide. And I met her after several years. And we went to a coffee shop. I said, and Annie, her name was also Annie, by the way. And Annie, tell me the story of your adventure in so many years. And said, you won't believe, ever since I discovered my DNA, ever since I did my personal discovery, I have never taken a job. I have always chosen a job. And that is possible because the universe responds to what you want. If what you want is just sustenance, universe will give you just sustenance. But what you want is meaningfulness, is purposefulness, is joyfulness. is excellence. Universe gives you that. And she told me what kind of jobs she has done, what amount of freedom she had in those jobs, how much of her talent was leveraged in those jobs. And that was not the end of the story. She said, and now listen to me, the best part of it. What I am doing today gives me time to engage in my passion, which was painting. And I have started doing exhibitions. And I think very soon I'm going to quit my job and be a full-time artist. I will earn enough money not only to sustain myself, but also build some kind of a small corpus of wealth. That's the kind of confidence she spoke with. So, my friends, that is what personal discovery does. However, as I said, point number one, first step, you need to have intent. And I help you to carve out an intent. Intent is not a wish, it's not a desire, it's a dream, an incredulous dream in the future. It's not a logical dream. I help you to carve that out and make it very specific in terms of outcome and timelines. I help you to remove your blocks, dissolve your blocks through batch flower therapy. It takes a little time, maybe a couple of months, at least for the blocks to start dissolving. And once they start dissolving, you get to see the brilliance of the jewels that are underlying the blocks, below the surface, the subterranean you, the awesome you. And that's when you are ready for personal discovery. You go through discovery. Once you have gone through discovery, trust me, you will not be able to rest till you have created a roadmap for yourself from discovery to destiny. It's a 2 years roadmap with milestones and where you define what kind of development needs you need, what kind of support you need. It's a very realistic roadmap. It's kind of an action plan at a high level. And the beauty is there was one more guy. He was a simple computer engineer, and from there, my God, he's gone places. I can't define his profession, but he's out there to help people. And he's minting money also. So he started on the roadmap and then he meandered. He meandered to reach the next milestone. So it is not necessary. The roadmap is a guideline. It's not necessary that you follow the roadmap. But there are times you meander, there are times you take a by lane and go somewhere and then come back to the next milestone. So that's how it works. Some have, there is this person who is a very senior sales head of an automotive company who engaged me on an ongoing basis for 2 years to walk along with him in this journey. Because there is always this tendency of the blocks coming back, the limiting blocks. Please understand, these are age-old blocks. They are not only your blocks, but the collective blocks of the generations. So sometimes they tend to come back. And that's the time when you need help of somebody else to clear them again for you. So that's why he chose me as his transformational coach to accompany him for 2 years. And again, one of those incredulous stories. In 18 months, he got 2 promotions to become the national head of his company from being a zonal head. From managing just about 120 people to managing 600 people. His salary went up by, I think, 3.5 times. Most importantly, the kind of authority, the power, the faith that people have in him that he enjoys in the company that has gone up manifold. So there are many such success stories. So I think I'll be taking a few more webinars to share them, but that's how it happens. Yes, Smita, I think it's about time that we field questions from the audience. I will unmute all of you and take your questions. I'll be very happy. I like answering questions. Can I also see your video? That's that's Udayan. You wanted to say something?
No, sorry. My bad. I forgot to mute my phone. My bad. I'm just trying to think of a question. Once I've been able to structure it, I'll come back to you again.
Sure, not a problem. Please, anytime.
Sorry.
So let me check who all are there. Rajshri, questions. Annie, questions. And you may unmute yourself. Galaxy A50, I don't know who is this.
Indranil, my questions at this moment are more of a very generic question. Basically, when you said you would remove the blocks, when you say blocks, what exactly are the blocks are you talking about? The blocks in limitations, or the blocks in dreaming forward, or manifestation blocks?
So, very simple, Annie, just to answer your question, all of us have grown up in a given environment, right? And
yes.
And this environment has offered us two things. It has offered us inspiration and motivation on the one hand. It has also offered us many restrictions. And in a very well-meaning grooming of our elders, and yet they thought good about it when they said that you won't be able to do it, or you are too small, or it's not the right time for you, you're still not ready for it, all that. So as a child, these voices have got etched in our subconscious, and these are called sponsoring thoughts. The ingredient of these limits or limiting blocks are these sponsoring thoughts, which go on to make limiting beliefs, which go on to make us unconsciously carve our current reality, which is a limited reality. So have I answered your question, Annie? And we tend to live this, we tend to repeat this, we tend to you will notice that in our lives certain experiences keep coming back again and again. It's because it's being driven very, very mysteriously by these conditionings, by these limiting beliefs, and therefore we don't have much control over them till A, I become aware of them and acutely aware of them, and B, I really want to do something with them.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay, I'm unable to hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I just got a call, so I have to just.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah.
Okay, Indranil, my question is because I have over the past 20 years dabbled in, crystal.
Your voice is a little mumbled.
Okay, 1 minute. I think I'll just get off the Bluetooth.
It's not very clear.
Yeah, now can it?
Yeah,
is it more?
it's crystal clear.
Yeah, I was in Bluetooth. So the point I'm saying is I practice a lot of things. I believe in a lot of things, alternative therapies and crystal therapies and Reiki, numerology, meditation. I listen to a lot of these alternate kind of, Brian Weiss is one of my favorite authors. So the alternate world, I straddle both worlds. So for me, yes, opening up suddenly to a group of people I've not met, and I've only heard a lot about you, Indranil, and for me, that is enough. The reference I've got is enough for me to open up and connect with you. But yes, it is a long journey. I do agree and admit. Like, for example, you wearing a turquoise on your ring finger fascinates me because I've never seen a turquoise ring, used in that way. Turquoise is more for your throat chakra, and you're wearing it in your ring finger, and that is something which I noticed. So these are small things which I would like to explore together with you in this journey.
Awesome, awesome, Annie. We'll do it. And Annie, congratulations in taking the first step. Trust me, the first step, it needs a lot of courage. I know that for sure. It's easier said than done. Stepping out of the conventional, stepping out of the familiar, and taking the first step is the biggest step. Rest is easier than the first step. I promise you that, Annie.
Thank you, Indranil. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Indranil, just another question. You're based out of Goa, or which area are you based?
I'm based out of the same city as you are in. I'm in Bangalore.
Bangalore. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a center you can drive over and meet then?
Which part of Bangalore do you stay?
You first, please.
I
I am a very.
I stay in extreme north of Bangalore, a place called Yelahanka.
Okay, closer to the airport. I
Yeah,
used
close.
to be there all the time. I stay
Yeah.
in Indranagar, which is the
Okay.
other end. And it is, yeah, but anytime that you come into town, of course, now being COVID, it is a little difficult.
It's
But do you
not
have,
just COVID. I think the containment zones, number of them are going up, and I'm a little
that
cautious.
is, yeah, as long as we are cautious, that's different. But do you have a center over here, a kind of a school or
No,
a place where you,
no. I operate from my home.
from your home? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, fine.
yeah.
Yalan, are you part of the Prestige or Heritage, or which? You have a lot of.
This
or
is
you have your own.
this is a green
Res-
building. It's a green building called Z Collective.
Okay, okay. Okay, because I used to be in Yalanka in year 2000 for a couple of years, so I'm a little familiar with that part of town, which is why I asked.
We'll
And
set
my
up a
previous,
time and we'll catch up.
definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've taken a lot of your time and let the others talk.
Yeah, so let us hear some other questions. But thank you so much for your question, and I hope I could answer.
My
So,
pleasure. Thank you.
I can see Rajeshri here. I can see Udayan here. Udayan, you've been able to frame your question?
Yeah, well, okay. So, what I joined a little late. I was about 10 to 15 minutes late. But whatever I heard from them from there onwards, I think you've been spot on in everything that you've said, especially in terms of our limiting beliefs and how we are brought up and the mistakes we do and the experiences and how we allow things to sort of get to us and then, in a way, forget that we are capable of doing great things. So from that perspective, I think absolutely spot on that on what you've said. Now, my question is, what is, and pardon me if it sounds a little offensive, no offense is meant. What is the science behind, if there is, I mean, if I can use that term, what is the science behind what you do that will allow you to help us unblock our own,
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for coming there. The science was discovered 5,000 years back. And modern science is yet to get there. It was discovered by Patanjali. Have you heard of Patanjali?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to read up on the 5 koshas or the 5 layers of existence.
Okay.
And I'm particularly talking about unblocking through batch flower therapy.
Okay.
The medical science works at the first level only, which is the physical layer, and therefore it is measurable.
Okay.
There are 4 more layers, and then comes batch flower therapy, which is called the consciousness layer.
Okay.
The science, very simple, it's logic, it's not the science, is that there are 38 remedies which are mapped to 38 blocks in any human emotional system or system of consciousness, you can call it.
Okay.
And they bring about these flowers. There are 38 flowers. There are 38 flowers whose vibrational energy is captured in an essence. And when that essence is taken in, is ingested, it goes to completely wipe off the negativity in those 38 states. Imagine them to be 38 cellular clusters. Dr. Bruce Lipton has beautifully dealt with it in this new science called epigenetics. You must listen to the video called Biology of Belief if you want to understand the science.
Okay. Biology of belief.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in Biology of Belief is very clearly stated that we are not determined by the genes that we carry, but the belief that determines the environment in which our cells grow.
Yeah.
So, bachelor therapy deals with the environment and turns it from negative to positive. Very simple. And the moment it
Okay.
becomes, the blocks dissolves by themselves. I'm
Okay.
a subject myself. In 4 years' time, when I look back at myself, what I was 4 years back, I can't recognize myself.
Okay. You had suggested reading up on something in the beginning. Five flowers of kosher. Something. If I correct me if I'm wrong.
Patanjali, the 5 koshas,
Achha.
Koshas, or 5 levels of existence. But you must watch Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief. Oh, it's a fascinating 2.5-hour video, but it will completely redefine the perspective with which we see our lives and the world around us.
Is it on YouTube? Is
Yeah,
it up
yeah.
on YouTube?
Yeah, it is on YouTube.
Indranil, if I interject at this point,
Yeah.
if you could, I do not know how audacious my request is. If there are other people in Bangalore, if you could set up a date and a time somewhere during the day, not beyond 4 p.m. because you stay pretty far off, where we could meet up at a mutual agreed spot and then collaborate further, because it goes a long way to breaking the ice. If you could find out if there are anybody else in this group who are in Bangalore.
Sure, I can. Maybe after the session, I am connected with all of them on WhatsApp. I can do that, definitely. Why not? But let me share with you, the engagement is preferably one-on-one. The reason is, as I said, that there are 7 billion people who are unique species in this world, and the uniqueness doesn't allow commonality to come in. This is a very interesting journey.
It's basic to allay my fears. So
I lost you. I lost
at
you.
least I know that there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah. And an initial meeting is always possible. And if not a face-to-face meeting, we can always have a virtual meeting. I can definitely look at that. Not a problem. Yeah.
So take a session wherein we get to know one another better before we start the one-on-one consult.
Yeah, sure. So I would like to hear others.
Possible to share?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. No, I just had one question. Possible to share a brief about the format of the workshop?
There's no workshop. It is a one-on-one engagement. It's a journey
Okay.
together. It's an accompaniment. It starts with about 3 to 4 months of removal of block, personal discovery, and road mapping, and then we review and then look at is there any further accompaniment required, and then we based on that we kind of realign.
Okay, great.
So if we don't have any questions, we are already past the time at 7:39. And you are all there in the WhatsApp group. Please feel free to ask me questions if it comes to you later. Annie, you can please join the WhatsApp group. I've sent you an invite.
Yeah, I wanted to join this after the.
Yeah, and all the best to you. A very joyful, a very manifested journey to all of you.
30 groups. Thank you so much, Indranil, and thank you for welcoming us.
Thanks, all of you.
Circle.
Thank you.